Hi, this is Enis from Never Stop Trucking. This is going to be a longer video about owner-operators and some advice for new owner-operators or someone who is just starting. This is mostly for semi-truck owner-operators. If you have a box truck, some of these may apply to you, but we do concentrate here on semi-trucks, so this is what I'm going to be talking about. And as always, I will start right away without wasting any of your or my time. The first thing that I'm going to tell you is that you should not rush into getting your own authority. Many owner operators think because they want to be independent now, they are about to have their own truck, they need to have their own authority as well. Now that could be true in case you already have some established lanes, some contacts, someone that's willing to work with you in the long run, and someone that's going to give you at least, let's say, 80% of your freight. If you have a broker that's promising you that they're going to work with you and they're going to have some lanes, I would not trust those people at all unless you really know this person and that you know 100% sure that they're not going to screw you over. I've seen owner operators tell me, hey, well, this guy promised me these lanes, and then once they, because it takes a long time to form your own authority, once they're ready to go with their own authority, it takes few months sometimes, then the broker will come back and say, hey, well, I don't have any of those loads anymore, the customer is really slow, or I lost them, or something. Most of the times, they're not going to give you those loads. So, but if you have a shipper that's telling you that they're going to have loads, that's different, because a lot of these smaller shippers, especially if it's like a smaller company and they have some loads for you, then they tend to keep their promises. Brokers, I do not trust any of them at all, okay? Now, your own authority, it will take a long time until you get it. Most brokers, some shippers will not even work with you. You're going to have high insurance costs. There's going to be a lot of work involved that you as an owner-operator, as a driver, might not know how to do, or you don't have time to do any of that. So think about all of that, do research. Don't just go online and look at some videos and see how these guys are making money. No, do a deep research. Talk to people, ask them, ask other drivers, ask brokers, ask other carriers, anyone. And then you will see, and ask them how much they're making, like what are the lanes paying, and then calculate all of those potential profits, your expenses that you're going to occur, and don't be conservative. Don't be really extreme as far as the expenses go. Just take the worst case scenario. If you make some calculations and then you figure out, okay, these are going to be my expenses, just add like 30% to it. Or if you are hearing some rates and someone's giving you some expected rates, but most people tend to tell you more, that they're making more. Like some people are straight out lie. Some people are going to make it like give you like one really good load example, but the other 5 bad loads that they did, they're not going to even mention. So if someone tells you that you can possibly gross out this much this week, then just take off like 30% or even more from that, right? And then compare those two, and if you can survive with those elevated costs, where you added like 20 to 30% of the cost, and with those with that gross revenue, then yeah, that might be for you. Okay, so don't rush into that. Now, next thing, like leasing, lease to own. I always say, everyone, don't lease to own trucks from anyone, anywhere, ever. Maybe there are some examples out there where someone was able to pay off their truck and get out of that lease to purchase in a good way where they actually won. But most truck drivers, most owner operators will get out of that lease to own deal before it before it's finished, and the company, the carrier, is just going to keep the truck, and you lost all your money there, and you didn't actually make much money because you probably made the same as a company driver. Let's be honest. By the time they take the higher percentage rate from you, because like right here in Usura Express, the percentage you get 88% as the owner operator. Okay, so our percentage is 12%. Now, if you were to lease on to someone, and their regular percentage is 12%, they're gonna do more. They're gonna do like 15 or 18. You're gonna pay them like 15 or 18 in most of the cases, okay? And then there's going to be that weekly payment for the truck and other things that they're gonna take away from you. And then at the end, you're gonna make maybe somewhere in between a company driver and an actual owner operator that actually owns their own truck. So your pay is going to be between those two numbers in a good week and when you're working. But once you take a week off, or you take a vacation, or you get sick, or your truck breaks down, something like that, where your truck is not running, and that's going to be at least 4 or 5 weeks a year, but more likely more than that, okay? So those weeks you're going to have to make up for them. So they're going to charge you double insurance, double payment, double if you're like a maintenance plan, something like that. And then on top of that, if you pay for the repairs out of your own pocket, you're going to have to pay that. And then you're going to tell them, okay, well, guys, I really can't afford that $5,000 repair because I'm not able to save any money. Can you guys cover that? And then you just take it off every week, just a little bit off. Okay, and they're like, oh, yeah, sure, we'll do that for you, as if they're doing you a favor. And you're all thankful. But then they add that amount to your weekly check, and then your check is even smaller. And then if your truck breaks down again, because if this repair is like $5,000, and they take off like $250 or $500 each week, right? And that's going to take a long time to pay off, like 10 weeks if it's $500 per week, then you'll have that for 10 weeks. In the 8th week, like in a couple of months, your truck breaks down again, and now this repair is like maybe $1,000 or $2,000. So you see where I'm going. So don't do lease to purchase. Now, if you are leasing your truck to someone, or people tend to, there's a lot of confusion about this term. Like there is a lease to own, a lease to purchase, and then you can lease your truck to someone else. So we would have to clarify that. But in short, if you are an owner-operator, you have your own truck, maybe it's paid cash, maybe you got a loan from the bank, but the truck is in your name, right? Then when you sign up with the carrier, where you drive under their authority, you have their signs on your truck, you're on their insurance, that means you're leasing your truck to them, right? So that's different. But if you're leasing to own or lease to purchase, that means usually that you're paying off the truck that's in the carrier's name, or maybe like a third-party dealer or a leasing company, and then you pay it out to them. So that's different. Now, if you're leasing on to someone else, and there's a carrier that you like, and you want to sign up with them, then you gotta vet that carrier really good before you lease your truck to them. Look for some red flags. Best thing to do is, first thing you should do is go online and look for reviews. Anywhere on Google Business, Facebook, any other social networks, word of mouth if someone knows them, on forums, sometimes on Indeed, they will have reviews for that company, from like a previous driver. If you talk to the management, if there are any red flags, just don't go with them. Usually you can talk to a manager, maybe to an owner, and then ask them to talk to you and tell you, and then you listen to them, and you ask a lot of questions, right? You ask questions, and then the more they answer, the better the picture is going to be. They're going to paint a better picture for themselves. Now, if they promise you a lot of stuff, then that's a red flag, right? Because right now in these markets, if someone is over-promising, then that's probably a red flag, because they will not, even if they have decent paying loads or maybe something dedicated, they're most likely not going to give it to you because you're new. And if you get those loads, maybe you're going to get them once in a while, and it will take time for you maybe to actually get to those loads. I've talked to a lot of drivers who are leasing onto our authority, to Usora Express, and the biggest thing that they tell me, their biggest concern is that they're sitting a lot, not because they're turning down the loads, because we know what the loads are. We know what the average pays. And here we always strive for the better than average rate. But I cannot give you crazy promises and promise you like 50% more of what others are making, because that would be a lie, right? And I don't want to do that to you. But I can promise you that we're going to do better than the average, and that you're not going to be sitting. Okay, some carriers will have some dedicated freight. Some carriers don't want to work with brokers, and they're waiting for their customers to send them loads. But even like right now, not even these shippers and their customers will not have that many loads. And these carriers are just taking owner-operators or company trucks without having more work, right? They're just taking them. Like you don't have like a load for truck every day. They're just like, okay, well, you know, we'll just find you something will come up, just come over here. But then if you're working with direct shippers that way, that means that you're going to be waiting for those loads. I spoke to one owner-operator, and this guy had, I think, like 30 trucks, and he was the only one working with these trucks. Here, we don't give more than 5 trucks to a dispatcher, because we know that right now it takes longer to book a decent load, and it's more stressful, right? And there's just not enough time for a dispatcher to work with like 10, 15 trucks. But this guy, this one guy, he was working with 30 trucks. Why? Because he had some freight that was, I think, done directly with the shipper. So he wasn't booking them on the load board. But these trucks would just wait for the shipper to send him these loads. I mean, he can, like if he has enough loads, okay, I'm sure maybe somehow he can manage these 30 trucks, but he just assigns loads to each one. Okay, it might be a hectic day, but you know, it's what it is. But this means that these trucks would sit for like 2-3 days, and the dispatcher would not even bother to go on a load board and try to find a load on a spot market, because like he doesn't have any loads right now from that customer. Okay, well, I'm not going to let this guy sit because I don't have a load. I'm just going to go to the load board and find out. No, he wouldn't do that because he didn't have time, right? So I hear a lot that these drivers are complaining and saying, we don't have loads, and they're not even offering us loads. So here I tell everyone, okay, if there is nothing, like if that owner operator does is very picky, and he says, okay, well, don't look for a load that's over 35,000 pounds heavy. But in my opinion, that doesn't make sense. Like, you know, especially right now, you can't really pick and choose, like, especially for the weight. Okay, it's, why can't you do at least like 38,000? Like, I'm not asking to do 45, like, okay, do 38,000, do 40,000. No, they want to stick to 35. Okay, we'll look for loads that are less than 35,000 pounds heavy. But we're going to have a smaller pool of available loads, and the rates might be like what they are. Like, you don't have much to choose from. So if you don't want a heavy load, then you gotta pick something that has the best rate out there out of those loads that are available. Just pick the best load that's available and then do the load. Okay, Now, if it doesn't work out for you, if you think you're not going to be profitable, well, you know, it's what it is. I see a lot of trucks parking and just waiting for this to pass. Maybe some of them are going back to being a company driver, and I respect it. You know, I can see that for them that might make sense, right? Because they have high expectations and they don't want to work in these markets, and I don't blame them. But if you are working, then you know you have to take something that's out there, and then at the end of the day, if there is nothing, okay, well, there was nothing today. You know, I was offered a few loads, I did not like them. If I want to keep moving, I'm going to have to take something tomorrow, because chances are in that area, if there are no loads today that you like, chances are that tomorrow there are not going to be any loads that you like in that area again. So just at least get out of that area. Okay, next thing that I have for you as a new owner operator is that you should not underestimate compliance requirements. IFTA, IRP, UCR, ELD, it's a lot of paperwork, a lot of time, and a lot to learn. So now, if you're leasing to someone, for example, you can use their IFTA. They're going to have their UCR already figured out. The ELD is going to be ready. The only thing that you might have to do by yourself is your registration. And I advise everyone, all owner-operators, don't go onto a plate program from someone. Get your own IRP in your state. It takes some time to get an account in certain states, but once you get it, it's going to be very easy to renew, okay? And then you're all set. You have your own IRP. If you move to a different carrier, or even if you get your own authority, you still can keep that IRP in your own name. You don't have to change the IRP to the carrier name if you ever get your own authority, right? The only thing you have to do is change whoever is responsible for safety, and they will ask you that when you start your IRP. They will ask you who is the carrier that's responsible for safety. They're going to ask for their DOT number, their federal EIN number, maybe for their IFTA, liability insurance. Every state is different. So, and then even if you switch your carriers, you're supposed to call the IRP and switch that. But if you get your own authority down the road, all you have to do is switch that, whoever is responsible for the safety, switch that to your own authority, but the name can still be in your name. If, IRP doesn't care about that, all they care about is the money that they get, that you pay them like $2,000 every year, and that's all they care about. Now, next thing is build credit and save cash before going independent. At least $20,000, let's say 10, but $20,000 saved for breakdowns, insurance down payment, and slow weeks. If you don't have $20,000, okay, let's say you have 10. Okay, that's stretching it. But if you don't have $10,000, don't be an owner operator. It's not for you. And I don't mean that in a bad sense. I was a company driver. I was an owner operator too when I was driving, and I was thinking of getting my own truck, but I had to save a lot of money. If you have a bad credit, you will have to fix it, and you will have to wait before you buy the truck. So you can pay for the IRP. If you're doing your own authority, you have to pay for the insurance down payment. Even if you don't have your own authority, if you're paying for your bobtail insurance, you have to give them a down payment as well. But let's say the first week you get out, you're not going to get any money for 1 or 2 weeks from anyone. If you're leasing on your truck to someone, you're not going to get any money for a week or 2, depending on that carrier. Even if you have your own authority, it will take a long time for brokers to pay you unless you are, going with a factoring company, okay? So you will need money to be able to survive, and I've seen, we just had one owner operator, and I made a couple of videos about that. His truck broke down on the second load, and he had a driver, and they wanted, the shop wanted $40,000 to fix the truck. Come on, that was way too much. But still, you have to have money and have a good credit score before you get your own truck, especially if you're financing it. The bank will not give you a loan without a decent credit. Okay, next thing that I have for you, if this is your first truck, avoid fancy trucks with high monthly payments. Now, here's another example. We have someone here, he bought a brand new Volvo, and this Volvo was like, I think almost 200K, because that's what the new trucks right now are. But he paid cash. And this guy is good with his money, you know, with his credit. Everything is perfect. He paid cash for a truck, and I think even for his trailer. But that brand new truck has been giving him nothing but trouble. Luckily, he has a warranty because he just bought it, but still, the truck was towed in, I think, like 2 to 3 months. Right now, the truck has been towed maybe around, I think, 4 times, and it has been at a Volvo shop for at least 6 to 8 times because of different issues. And he every time, you know, because this is a warranty claim, they don't rush to fix your truck. They just wait either for Volvo to approve it or like for the parts or something. They don't, and you're losing time. It doesn't matter if the truck is being covered under warranty, because you're losing time and you cannot work, and that you're just sitting somewhere in a shop, in a hotel, and waiting and you know, getting frustrated because you give so much money in cash for this truck, and it's giving you this trouble. Now imagine if you have a loan on this truck. Imagine that. So your payment would be probably somewhere around like $3,000 to $4,000 every month for this truck, and you're paying all that money. The truck keeps breaking down, and you're not working. Now, even if the truck is good, even if your payment is like $2,000 to $3,000, and the truck is running, it's still a huge payment, because you're going to have to either rent your trailer or pay a loan for that trailer as well. And then because this truck is worth a lot of money, your bobtail insurance will be very high. It will be like $400 or $500 a month probably for this truck. So you're paying a lot of money, where the drive-in average rate per mile right now is $2 per mile. So start with something decent. Don't get a $10,000 truck. Right now you can get a decent truck for like $30,000 to $50,000. Something that's got like 300 to like 500, well, not 300, let's say 400 to like 500,000 miles on it, and you get something decent, and that will be probably okay for the next 2 to 3 years without any major repairs. Okay, track every dollar and use a tracker accounting app, or use a spreadsheet. There are a lot of spreadsheets online. Some of them are free, some of them you can buy. But track your expenses and see where every dollar goes, because this way you will see if this actually makes it worth it, and then you will see whether you're profitable or not at the end of the month. And then once you do that, now this is not, you know, most people will avoid this so they don't stress out, or like they're just ignorant. And I have to say, I'm one of those too. Like sometimes you're like, okay, well, I understand this is not profitable, but if I run the numbers, I'm going to be really disappointed, and I'm just going to keep doing it, and hopefully something changes. But that's a wrong way to do it. Like you got to put every dollar down and calculate everything. And then at the end of the month, you will see whether how much money you're making, if this is profitable, and if it's even worth it. But then, now this is not meant to even stress you more. It's meant to make you fix things, to try to come up with a better way of managing the money, try to find better lanes where they pay more, and try to save money on some of these expenses. So that's what's going to help you with saving money and giving you the real picture. Now, fuel cards. If you're leased onto Carrier, in my opinion, it's better to use their fuel card as opposed to your own or like a credit card or cash. I understand, like if you go to a truck stop and you see a cash price, most of these fuel cards will same as cash price, okay? You may have gotten a credit card where they promise you that you're gonna get points or money back on fuel, but most of the cases this does not apply to commercial fuel, especially trucks with 200-300 gallon tanks. Once they find out that you're doing that, they're gonna take away those rewards from you, or they're gonna block your card or whatever. If you get your own fuel card, for example, RTS, if you go to neverstoptruck.in, I think even in the description of this video, you can talk to them and get, through my link, and get some additional discounts and even factoring. If you're interested in factoring, the RTS will take care of you as far as that goes. But if you are leased onto a bigger carrier, most likely you're going to have better discounts as opposed to directly you as an owner-operator getting a fuel card from someone. Now you got to make sure that this carrier is giving you those discounts, because a lot of carriers will not. And you have to ask them, hey, are you actually giving 100% of those discounts to an owner-operator? Some of them are not, and they're making a lot of money that way. For example, here with our RTS discounts, our owner-operators, if they follow the app, because we give you an app and you can see where the fuel discounts are, and usually they're between like 20 and 60 cents per gallon, sometimes more. Most of these owner-operators, I'm going to say all of them, who follow those discounts can save over $200 a week just on fuel. That's $10,000 a year just on fuel. So you got to make sure that you use those discounts, and make sure that the company, if you're leased onto them, make sure you ask them, make sure that they show you. Because here, like when you get your settlement, I will show you your fuel and your discounts, how much was it at that truck stop, and how much total, and then all the total savings for that week. You will see that here because it's transparent. Okay, don't skip maintenance to save money. It will cost you 5 times more later with breakdowns and lost loads. One of my pet peeves is when I see a truck, especially if it's an owner-operator truck, and they're not taking care of the truck. Company drivers, that's a different story. Company drivers are supposed to do the same thing. They're supposed to look at the truck and report everything, and even push the company to fix it. Because sometimes the dispatcher is going to say, hey, well, you're a company driver, you report something is wrong. Sometimes the dispatcher is going to be, okay, well, just go deliver that load, and then we'll, when you come back here, we'll do it. And then you as a company driver are supposed to say, no, like this has to be fixed now. Okay, maybe if I'm very close to the delivery, and this is really not something that's a safety issue or a violation or out of service, okay. But as soon as I'm delivered, I'm not going to pick up another load. This has to be taken care of. It's not safe. I can, injure someone, kill myself, get out of service, get a ticket, a lot of things. Like if something happens, an accident, they're going to be all over you. That's stupid. Even as you as a trucking company, don't do that, right? Fix the truck. But if an owner-operator does that, it's even worse because it's your truck, it's your living, it's your pride, it's your baby. Now, if you don't fix that one little thing, and every month or almost every week there's going to be something small, but that it adds up, and then some of these small things will turn into bigger things, and then you get something else, like another big breakdown. And then when you put everything together in order to fix all of that, it's going to be a lot of money and a lot of time. And when you bring the truck to a mechanic to fix something simple, most likely they're going to catch something else, and that's going to save you money because you're not going to be on the road. You're not going to have to call towing or road service. You're not going to miss your load. You're not going to get placed out of service. When you go to it's like going to a doctor. You tell the doctor, okay, I have some pain in my arm or, in my leg or something like that. And you go there. They check for your vitals. They check everything else before they even look at that leg because they want to see that you're in good shape and then you're in good health and that something else is not going on. And they will ask you other questions or they will notice something. Same thing with the truck and mechanic. Avoid high interest loans to start. That can ruin you before you even make money. Bootstrap if you can. High interest loans, especially for a truck, because there are a lot of people out there who have bad credit. And you go to a dealer and they say, well, we work with all kinds of credits. We can give you a credit, but then, when they give you an offer, it's a 20-30% interest rate. That's a lot of money, okay? And you're saying to yourself, okay, well, this is a 5 or 6 year loan. I'm going to just pay it out in a year or two. No, you're not. Maybe if the markets are good, okay, maybe you can hustle, and then, if you're really good about it. But most likely, you have to take care of your family, or you have payments, you have a home loan or car loans, credit card, something else. You have to cover all those. You're not going to pay off that truck in 1 year. There are guys who do it, but most of us will not. So don't get a high interest loan. I would rather drive as a company driver for a year or 2 or 3. Save some money, save cash, and at least if you cannot cash out the truck, at least you can put a lot of money down in order to get a better deal on your loan. Don't live like a millionaire in good weeks. Everyone here tends to, like, if you have a lot of money, for some reason you get some money, you're going to say, well, I can afford this, I'm gonna get this now. And it's okay if this is like a one-time purchase. Okay, I want to buy me, I made a lot of money last month. I'm gonna treat myself to a new phone or a new TV or a new computer or a small vacation, something like that. In my opinion, that's fine. But if you're going to treat yourself to a fancy car that requires high loan payments, and you think, okay, well, I can afford it now, everything is going well, think about next year or 2 years down the road or 3 years down the road. Most likely, especially in trucking, something is going to change, right? Something is going to change, and you're probably not going to be able at that time to afford that, right? So you got to be prepared for the slow season all the time. Now this one is exception. This one is almost 4 years, this slow season. So this is something that's very weird, but it's what it is. Don't forget taxes. At the end of the year, let's say you make, as an owner-operator, let's say you gross, let's say between 150,000 and 300,000. Like right now, it's very hard to go that high. Let's say 200,000. let's say you gross $200,000 in a year, just doing regular work, maybe drive and, so 25 to 30% of that will be your taxes. Now, we don't pay taxes on the gross revenue, okay, of course. But you gotta keep in mind that once you take off, you write off all your expenses, then maybe your net is going to be, let's say, between 60 and 100,000. Not 100. It's going to be probably less than that. But let's just say $75,000. That's going to be your net profit, your gross adjusted income, as they say, on your taxes. And on that, you have to pay 25% usually, because there is a self-employment tax and your regular federal and state taxes. Some places have even city taxes. So you got to account for that. It's a lot of money, right? And if you wait till the end of the year, you're going to have to write a big check. Some people will do quarterly taxes. If they have a good bookkeeper or an accountant, they will set them up doing that. Look with them, talk to your accountant about setting up an S corporation, classifying your LLC. If you're an owner-operator, I strongly suggest that you get your own LLC, no matter if you're leased onto someone or if you have your own authority, get your LLC, and the company will pay you into that bank account for the LLC. And then at the end of the year, the 1099 will be in that LLC's name, and that way you're separating your finances. It looks better when you're doing your taxes. You're getting some liability protection in case something happens down the road. So LLC usually does not have any downsides, right? So you talk to your accountant about setting up and how to classify your company as an S corporation, because that way you're gonna maybe save another couple of thousand of dollars. But yeah, if you get like $2,000, $3,000 or $4,000 a week in your net after everything, after your fuel and all of that on your paycheck, that money is not yours. You will have to pay around 25% of taxes on that. Okay. Okay. Don't think you're just a driver. You're a business owner. Now, this is a mindset issue, because if you're an owner-operator, you're not just driving anymore. Everything else is the same. You're still driving a truck. You're still doing the same work. You think, okay, well, I'm going to probably make more money. I have to make smarter decisions. I have to make sure I pick profitable lanes. I have to make sure I get fuel discounts. I maintain my truck well. But now you're not just a driver anymore. You're a business owner. And business owners, same thing like if you're doing something else. I always take this example. I used to do photography a long time ago, and I used to enjoy taking pictures. And then I tried, because I have that mindset of always working for myself and trying something on my own. So I tried getting into photography semi-professionally, right? Started advertising and started to try to sell pictures and do different stuff. But then I found myself enjoying that hobby or profession less and less, because I had to take care of the business now. I had to find customers. I had to take care of bills, accounting, permits, all of that. So it took a lot of time away from me actually going out there and making pictures, right? I didn't enjoy it as much, and it became a burden, because now this is a business and I have a lot more responsibilities right now, and it makes it less enjoyable. Now, same thing is going to happen in trucking, because everything is going to be on you, maintaining the truck, making sure that, like if you have loan payments, subscription payments, problems with your carrier, problems with a broker, with your customers, taxes, a lot of things. So you have to understand that right now you're not just a driver anymore, you are a business owner, and you're the only one that works for that business. You can't rely on anyone else. Maybe someone like, your spouse may help you, or someone like that's close to you, but they have their own things to do. Like, they cannot be 100% of the time or watching over your business. You have to do it. So you're the only employee, and if the employee is not doing the work that you're supposed to do, managing the business, you can't fire yourself, right? What are you going to do? You can't fire yourself. So you have to show up every day. If you have an employee, they can say, okay, well, I'm sick, I'm not going to come to work, or I have to go out, I have an appointment, I have to do this, I have to take a vacation, I'm quitting, I'm finding another job. For you, no, you can't quit. No vacation, no time off. No, if you want to manage everything, right? Of course, you can take some time, you can take a vacation. I'm not saying you can't, but you're going to have less time for that, and you're going to have to take care of everything, plus the driving part. Okay, so you got to understand that. Now, you got to stop chasing high rates without checking the return loads. So now we're talking more about loads. Okay, you can go for a great rate to Denver, Colorado. You can go, like Florida right now, it used to be like you can get a great rate. Florida is not that great anymore, like even if you go there, but you can still get a decent rate. Northeast maybe, like New England or even East Coast. So, okay, you get a good paying load going there. But what are you going to do from there? Either you're going to sit, wait for a load, you're going to get a cheap load, a very cheap load, or you're just going to go out empty. Unless this load is paying, let's say the average is $2 per mile. And you're okay, well, I have to be at 250 at least to make this profitable. Okay, unless this load is paying $5 per mile, just don't go there, right? Because you got to count the fact that you're most likely going to go out empty or something very cheap, okay? So if you get a load to go, you're going there for $3 per mile, and you're getting out for like $1 or less than $1, like that doesn't make any sense, okay? It's better to have consistent freight that's paying well and decent instead of just going blindly into a bad area for like a better than average load. That doesn't make any sense. Okay. Avoid burnout. Take breaks and treat it like a marathon. This industry grinds people down. Take time off or you lose your health. For me, the biggest blessing in this industry has been the ELD mandate. Now, this might be something controversial that many people are not going to agree with, and I understand that the ELD, the hours of service rules, they have issues, and there could be a lot of things that can be fixed that will give drivers more flexibility, right? Because, think about it, 14 hours a day times, 70 hours, right? 70 hours a week. Who works 70 hours a week? Most people will work 40, maybe to like 50 hours a week. That's the most. But 70 hours a week, that's a lot of working, right? And in my opinion, we shouldn't require anyone to work that much. But yeah, more flexibility. But then ELD mandate, it tells you, okay, after those 14 hours, you're done. You gotta rest, man. Whether you think you need it or not, your brain might be telling you one thing, or like your bills might be forcing you to run more, but your body, especially in the long term, will not like that. I used to drive on paper locks. That was a long time ago. I started driving around semi-truck. I drove a box, like a straight truck before that for like a year or two. And then I started driving a semi-truck. I think it was like 2005 or 2006. Back then we had paper logs, I think until like 2018 or so. And those paper logs, I would go east to east from Michigan and come back. I would go to Dallas, Texas from Grand Rapids in one day. That's 1,100 miles. I was younger and just stupid, right? But then with time, after several years, I was thinking to myself, then I switched to East Coast. So I would go to the East Coast, New York, Pennsylvania, sometimes New Jersey or Maryland, down there. Now, let's say I go to Pennsylvania, that's like 600 miles. And I go there, deliver a load, and I come back in 2 days, and the next day I'm home at night. Now, when I say I'm home at night, I'm not at home at 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. I'm at home at midnight, right, or 1 a.m. And then I get home, go to my car, go home, take a shower. By the time you're in your bed, it's like 2, 3 a.m. And then you got to deliver the load at 8 a.m. Like you're sleeping like 4 or 5 hours. You got to get early, go there, and then pick up another load and drive another 600 miles, go to East Coast and come back and do the same thing. Sometimes I would do 3 East Coasts a week. Sometimes, most of the times it was 2. But if you go to New Jersey, you can go there in one day. I mean, at that time you could because you're on paper logs. And you go there, that's like 650 or more miles, right? And then you deliver in New Jersey. By the time you pick up, by the time you get out of New Jersey, you go to Pennsylvania border, for example, up on I-80, it's already like 5 p.m. because there's traffic and it takes time to load and unload. And then from there, you have a lot of driving to come back home. I would come back home at like 4 a.m., and that was stupid. And then I thought to myself, well, man, this doesn't make any sense. Like, why am I doing this? And then I stopped. I would drive at most till like up until like 10 p.m. on my way back. 10 p.m. I go to bed. You can get up at like 6 a.m. That's still fine. You can work with your logbook. It's paper logs. And then I would be here, around like noon or 1. No, not noon. Like if you start at 6, maybe like 10, between 10 and noon. And I tell my dispatcher, hey, look, unless you have something that's short, I'll pick it up today. If you have something that's longer, you gotta give me open delivery time for next morning because I'm not gonna be able to deliver first thing in the morning. Or I'm just gonna go home and get some rest and then start tomorrow. And that's what I did. Man, that was a big change for my health, for my mental state. It's just much better. And this ELD mandate, it makes you do that, right? All you have to do is plan your hours. You gotta plan your hours, pre-plan your trip. Talk to your dispatcher and tell them, like, if they give you a stupid load, just tell them I can't do that load, doesn't make sense, give me a different load, right? But it will help you in the long run. After 2, 3, 5 years of running and burning, you're gonna feel it on your body, you're gonna feel it on your brain, on your in your family, in your marriage. You're gonna feel that. It's gonna be bad. Okay, you saved some money, but what if something happens down the road and doing these illegal things? You're gonna be in big trouble, not just you, but your carrier as well. Avoid signing lease purchase without legal advice. Most of them are designed for the company to win. Many drivers never own the truck. So I spoke about that before, so we're gonna skip that one. Don't rely on one broker or on one load board or on one customer, because if you rely on one broker, that broker might be good or great, and they have many people in their office, and there's one person that you work with, but then that person might leave. It happens a lot. We had a lot of consistent loads that we've done for years, and then this guy leaves and he introduces us to the new guy and says, hey, you Sora Express, they're doing these loads all the time, you're giving them these loads, and then you do them for maybe like a week or 2 or a month, and they just disappear because this guy doesn't care about you. He's just gonna find someone else that can do it for cheaper. He's not gonna be flexible like the previous guy did. The previous guy would say, hey, he tells us, hey, I have this load, I have 3 of these loads for next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And I tell him, okay, well, I'm not going to have anyone on Wednesday. Can we move that one load to Thursday or to Tuesday? And he would do that for me every time. But this new guy, he wouldn't. He doesn't care, right? Why does he care about me? Like, why am I going to do this? Why am I going to call the shipper and spend extra time and beg them to do this if I can just post this load on Wednesday and have someone else to take it? Like, why would I do that? So another thing is that broker might go out of business and they're not even going to pay you. So let's say let's say you're a company, let's say you're a carrier, and you rely on 3 brokers, or you have 3 biggest customers, and you don't have 3 trucks, you have 20, you have 50 trucks. And that's a lot of money coming in from those brokers or customers. Let's say one of them goes out of business, or there is a claim on one of the loads, and this is like a false claim, because I see that a lot as well. And then all of a sudden this broker will not pay you any loads until this claim is resolved, or if the insurance declines, refuses to pay for that claim, which a lot of times they will if this is a false claim, like I wouldn't pay it either, then the broker will hold the other money and they're not going to give it to you. And that's the not just third of your business that you're losing in the long run, not just long, like even like for the next day in short term as well. But you're losing those accounts receivables that you're expecting to get in the next 30 to 60 days. You're not going to get any of that money, and they owe you that money. And if you're a factoring company, they're just going to charge you back for that. So don't rely on 1, 2, 3 customers, no matter if they're brokers. You gotta have a pool of different brokers. If one of them is larger than others, okay, that's fine, but you gotta watch them constantly. You can't just say, okay, I'm gonna book all these loads. You gotta, like before you book the next batch of loads with them and you have a lot of outstanding invoices with them, just check on the payment status on that. See, when are they gonna pay it? Are they gonna pay it, or wait? Just like, okay, let's wait, don't book any of these loads until these loads are paid out, right? You gotta watch that all the time. Okay, next thing is don't try to do everything yourself. If you are an owner-operator, you will need some help with at least some things that you're not, like for example, I know some things about bookkeeping and I understand how it works, but for me it's time consuming, it's boring, and I don't like to do it, right? I hate doing it. So it makes sense to outsource something like that. It's not going to be full-time because you cannot afford it, but if you can find someone to do, if you have a dispatcher, like independent dispatcher, but even that right now, it doesn't work out well. So unless you really know that independent dispatcher, I would stay away from most dispatchers, right? Compliance consultant, like for the safety, is if someone can give you advice on safety and you pay them like weekly or monthly, and they check your logbooks, they check your receipts, they check your driver qualification folder. Even if you have your own, like you are your own owner-operator, let's say that you have your own authority, you still have to treat yourself like an independent contractor, and you still have to have a driver qualification folder, a safety procedure, truck. You have to have a driver folder, truck folder, and trailer folder, all of that, right? Drug test, MVR, clearinghouse, random testing, previous employment information, a lot of things. There's like at least 20 forms that you have to have in your driver qualification folder, right? And this has to be updated and maintained. So if you can hire someone to do, as a CPA, or a bookkeeper or safety consultant. It will take a lot of time off of your shoulder. It will help you with something that you probably don't understand as well. And it will help you in the long run if someone comes after you, like IRS wants to do an audit or DOT wants to do an audit, because they will do a safety audit if you have your own authority within the first few months. And then down the road, they might do another one as well. Okay, so if you haven't done so, I would click on like button on this video, because that will help spread the message. It will show this video to more people. It will show YouTube that you're interested. Also, if you like what you're seeing, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel. Another thing, if you're an owner-operator and you're just starting, or you're already working with someone and something is not going well, check out usoraexpress.com. My phone number and email and web address are in the description of this video. Let's talk and see if we can maybe help you if you want to come over and work together with us. Thanks and have a great day.